I'll never forget the sound of my daughter's voice that night. It wasn't crying. It was that shaky breathing kids do when they're trying not to cry. That's what hit me the hardest. I had just finished wiping down the counter at the gas station when my phone buzzed. One message. 5 words, Dad. He followed me again. Man, my stomach twisted so hard I thought I'd be sick. I stepped outside, the cold air hitting my face as I dialed her number. She picked up instantly. Dad, can you come get me, please? Please hurry. Her voice cracked. That was it for me. Some lines you just don't cross. Not with a Marine's kid. Not with anyone's kid. I jumped in my beat-up Ford, turned the key, and the engine coughed like it didn't want to wake up. Come on, I muttered. It finally roared alive. Ever had that moment where your chest feels too tight for your own heartbeat? Yeah, that was me right there. I sped down the empty road, headlights slicing through the dark, and the whole time I kept thinking one thing. What kind of punk thinks he can stalk a girl in a town this small? But deep down, I already knew who it was. Everyone did. Tyler Grant, the sheriff's son, when I reached the parking lot behind the school gym. She was sitting on a curb, hugging her backpack like it was armor. I got out and walked toward her. You okay? She nodded, wiping her eyes. Yeah. I just didn't know what else to do. I pulled her into a hug. It hurt me that she even felt the need to apologize. Where is he? I asked softly. She hesitated, then pointed across the lot, and there he was, leaning against his fancy black truck, arms crossed, smirking like he owned the whole damn county. The moment he saw me, he straightened up. Hey, old man, he called. Your kid's kinda sensitive, don't you think? I swear something inside me burned so hot I felt it in my teeth, but I didn't move. I didn't speak. Years of Marine discipline held me still. He walked closer, that stupid grin on his face. You know, if she's gonna live here, she's gotta learn how things work. I looked him dead in the eyes. And you think you're the one who gets to teach her? He shrugged. Someone has to. Sheriff's rules. My daughter squeezed my arm. Dad, let's just go. Please. That was the only reason I didn't break the kid right there. Her hand on mine. Her voice shaking. So I guided her toward the truck. But Tyler wasn't done. He stepped in front of us, blocking the door, like he wanted to see how far he could push a grown man. You know what your problem is, he said, leaning in. You think just because you were some big Marine, people gotta respect you in this town. I didn't blink. And you think just because your dad wears a badge, nobody gets to tell you when you're wrong. His grin faded for half a second, then came back sharper. You touch me, he said quietly, and my dad throws you in jail so fast your head spins. My jaw tightened. Move, he smirked. Make me. I took one slow breath, then another. Combat training in my blood, anger in my throat. Daughter beside me. Every part of me wanted to teach that boy the lesson life clearly hadn't. But then he whispered something that froze me. Something so low only I could hear. Your daughter looks real pretty when she's scared. My vision blurred. That's how fast the rage hit. It was like someone lit a match inside my chest. I stepped forward, but my daughter grabbed my hand with both of hers. Dad, don't, she whispered. Please. Those 2 words pulled me back from the edge. Just enough. I opened the truck door, put her inside, and stared Tyler down. This isn't over, I said. He smiled. Oh, I'm counting on it. Tell me honestly, if this was your kid, what would you do? Because no father in the world can stay calm after hearing something like that. I drove her home in silence. She kept her head turned toward the window, pretending she wasn't crying. When I got home, I made her some tea, tucked her in, checked every window twice, and sat on the edge of her bed until she fell asleep. Then I walked to the living room, sat down on the couch, and stared at the wall. My hands were shaking, not from fear, from restraint. Because deep down, I knew one thing. This kid wasn't going to stop. Not because he liked her, not because he hated her, but because he thought nobody could touch him. He thought he was protected, untouchable, above consequences. And when a boy grows up believing that, he becomes dangerous. I rubbed my face and exhaled slowly. Tomorrow, I whispered to myself, I'm ending this. Little did I know, the real war hadn't even started yet. The next morning, the sheriff himself walked into my gas station, and he didn't come to talk. He came to threaten me. I opened the gas station early the next morning. Same routine as always, lights on, coffee machine rumbling, radio low. The smell of fuel and cold air mixing in the quiet. My body was awake, but my mind was still stuck on last night. Every second replaying, every word Tyler said echoing in my head. I kept telling myself one thing: today, I'm ending this. But I didn't realize the fight was already coming for me, because 15 minutes after I unlocked the door, the bell above the entrance rang, and in walked Sheriff Grant himself, tall, heavy boots, cold eyes. That man carried authority like it was a weapon, and he knew exactly how to use it. He looked around the empty store, then straight at me. "Morning," he said flatly. "Morning," I replied, just as flat. He walked up to the counter, leaned both elbows on it, and lowered his voice. "We need to talk about last night." Double quotes. Yeah, I figured we did. He didn't waste time. "My boy came home upset," he said. "Said you threatened him." I stared at him. "Your boy followed my daughter, cornered her, harassed her." His face didn't move, not even a twitch. "That's not what he told me." I clenched my jaw. "Maybe you should ask more than one person before you believe him." He tapped the counter with one finger. "Steady, slow. Listen here, Marine," he said. "This is my town, and I don't like problems." I almost laughed. "Neither do I." He leaned in closer. "You lay a hand on my son, or even speak to him again, and you and your girl are packing your bags." I stepped forward until we were inches apart. "You threatening me?" "No," he said calmly. "I'm promising you." For a moment, it felt like back in the service again. That split-second tension before something explodes. Two men staring each other down, testing who'd blink first. I didn't blink, but he smirked like he'd already won. Ever deal with a man who hides behind a badge? Yeah, that false confidence is a special kind of ugly. Then he said something that made every muscle in my body tense. "Tyler told me your girl's been exaggerating things." My hands curled into fists. She was shaking. I replied, crying, "You really think she made that up?" He didn't answer. Instead, he straightened his belt and spoke the words that sealed what was coming. "You keep pushing this, and I'll make life real hard for the both of you." I took a slow breath. Marine, slow, controlled, exact. "You think I scare easy?" I asked. He smiled without warmth. "I think you're a single father with a kid to protect, and I think you'll back down if things get messy enough." That line, that one sentence, exposed exactly what kind of man he was. Someone who assumed fear controlled people. Someone who assumed power protected him. Someone who assumed everyone would break before he did. He had no idea who he was talking to. But I didn't show anger. Not yet. Instead, I turned away and started wiping the counter. "I'm done talking," I said. He didn't move, didn't blink, just stared at me like a judge deciding someone's fate. Then he said, almost casually, "Your daughter's at school today, right?" I froze. He saw it and smiled. Kids can get into all kinds of trouble if their parents piss off the wrong people. That was it. That was the moment I knew this wasn't just about Tyler bullying her. This was a family used to terrorizing anyone they wanted. A father protecting a monster he raised. A sheriff who believed law was whatever he said it was. He tipped his hat and walked out like he hadn't just threatened a child. The door closed, and I finally exhaled. I sat down behind the counter, hands on my knees, mind racing. "All right, old man, you want a war? You're gonna get one, but not the kind you expect. 'Cause Marines don't start fights. We finish them, and not with fists. With precision, with patience, with strategy. What would you do if the people who are supposed to protect your kid are the ones hurting her?" The rest of the day dragged by painfully slow. Every time a car pulled up, I checked the driver. Every time a sheriff's cruiser passed, I watched the mirrors. But the real hit came at 3:11 p.m. My phone buzzed. A teacher texted me, "Sir, something happened with your daughter. Please come immediately." My heart dropped. I closed the shop, sprinted to my truck, and drove faster than I had in years. When I reached the school, she was sitting on a bench outside the nurse's office, lip bleeding, knees scraped, shirt torn. My vision went blurred with rage. "What happened?" I asked, kneeling in front of her. She swallowed, voice shaking. "Dad, Tyler pushed me down the stairs." I stood up, slowly, quietly, like a man whose soul has gone completely still. And then she whispered the part that broke me. He said, "You can't do anything because his dad runs the town." I didn't answer. I couldn't. All I knew was one thing. This wasn't bullying anymore. This was war. And I was done playing defense. That same night, I made a phone call to someone I hadn't spoken to since my Marines days. The one man Sheriff Grant never wanted to cross. I carried my daughter to the truck like she was 5 years old again. She kept whispering, "I'm okay, Dad. I'm okay." But she wasn't. Kids lie to protect their parents more than parents lie to protect kids. That's something life teaches you the hard way. When I got her home, cleaned her cuts, and put her to bed, I sat in the dark living room without turning on a single light. My fists were still shaking, not from fear, from rage, from watching my girl hurt, from knowing the law wouldn't help her because the man behind the badge was the father of the boy who did it. I stared at the wall for what felt like an hour before pulling out my old Marine duffel from the closet. Not for weapons, that wasn't the kind of war one wanted. But inside the pocket was a number I hadn't dialed in years, a number I swore I'd never use again. But desperate fathers do things men normally wouldn't. I took a breath and called. The line rang once, twice, then a deep voice answered. "You alive, brother?" Just hearing him brought back a flood of memories, dust, sweat, gunfire, nights where the only light came from explosions miles away. "Yeah," I said. "I need help." He chuckled, that same low, calm laugh of a man who'd seen too much to be surprised by anything. "Name it." I closed my eyes. "Sheriff Grant." Silence, not long, but heavy. Then he spoke, voice colder than I'd ever heard. "That man should have been stripped of his badge 10 years ago. So you know him, Bo?" "I know him," he said. "Grant pulled some dirty stunts back in the day. Got a few good men hurt. Didn't care who burned as long as he came out clean." My jaw tightened. "Figures. What do you need?" he asked. "I need this to stop," I said. "His kid is hurting my daughter." "No," he corrected. "You need leverage." His voice grew quiet, the kind of quiet that made even memories stand still. "Meet me tomorrow," he said. "Old service station on Route 9, noon." Then he hung up. I sat there, phone still against my ear, knowing something big had just shifted. Ever feel that moment when a situation turns from personal to something bigger? Like now it's not just about justice, it's about principle. The next morning, I drove to the old service station. Place was abandoned years ago. Half-collapsed roof, rusted signs, weeds tall enough to hide a kid. A black SUV was already parked there. He stepped out. Jack Hammer Lawson, my former squad leader. Last man I ever expected to see on this side of the country. Last man Sheriff Grant ever wanted near his county. Built like a wall. Voice like gravel. Calm like a man who wasn't scared of anything. Not even death. When he saw me, he smiled. "Still look like trouble," he said. "You still look like you eat trouble for breakfast." We shook hands. The kind of handshake that carries years of loyalty. Then he motioned me inside. We sat onto broken crates. He pulled out a small folder, beat up, duct tape on the corner. "This," he said, "is everything Grant and his boy Hope would stay buried." He opened it. What I saw inside made my heart thump hard. Reports, complaints, internal memos, things I shouldn't have been seeing. Jack tapped a page. "Your sheriff covered up 3 assault cases for his son already. Quieted it with money, threats, and fake statements." My blood boiled. Another page. "Grant stalled investigations on missing evidence. A deputy tried to expose him, suddenly transferred." Another. "Accusations of misuse of county funds." I stared at the folder like it was a live grenade. He did all this. I whispered. Jack nodded and walked away every time. "Because no one in this county will go against a man with power. That's why you called me." I exhaled slowly. "So what's the plan?" Jack smirked. "Simple. We take away the one thing that protects him." "What's that?" "Fear." He leaned forward. "Bullies only stay in power because everyone's scared of them. You want to bring a bully down? You show people he bleeds like everyone else." I thought of my daughter, her tears, her broken voice, her fear. Yeah, he was right. We spent the next hour talking strategy, not revenge, not violence, Exposure. Controlled, measured, precise. Marine-style. Jack already had contacts. People Grant had crossed. Folks who wanted the truth out but didn't know how. We build momentum, he said. We hit him where he can't hide. Public pressure, news, witnesses, records. Once that starts rolling, even the sheriff's badge can't stop it. I nodded. Let me ask you something, Jack said suddenly. You prepared for what comes next? Because once you push a man like Grant, he'll come at you full force. I don't care, I said. He hurt my kid. He thinks he can scare us. This ends. Jack smiled. That's the Marine I remember, when we stepped outside. Jack put a hand on my shoulder. Tonight, he said, things start moving. What's happening tonight? He opened the SUV door and looked at me. Something Grant didn't expect. Someone in his own department finally grew a conscience. I frowned. What do you mean? Jack paused. A deputy reached out. Said he wants to talk to you. Said he has something you need to hear. My heart kicked. What does he know? Jack looked straight into my eyes. Everything. That evening, a nervous deputy showed up at my gas station after dark, and the first thing he said was, Sir, Tyler didn't just push your daughter. He planned something worse. Asterisk. The sky was already dark when the deputy arrived. No lights, no sirens. Just his cruiser rolling in slow, like he didn't even want the gravel to hear him. He parked on the side of the station, far from the windows. Engine off. No movement. For a second, I wondered if this was a setup. If Sheriff Grant had sent someone to make me disappear behind the pumps. But then the door opened, and the deputy stepped out. Young guy, maybe late 20s. Eyes tired, shoulders slumped like guilt had weight, and he'd been carrying it too long. He didn't walk toward me. He hurried. Sir, can we talk inside? He said, voice low, shaky. Please. I don't want anyone seeing me here. Not good. Not good at all. I unlocked the door, and he slipped inside like a man trying to outrun his own shadow. I locked it behind us. He took his head off, hands trembling. Sheriff can't know I'm here, he whispered. If he finds out, I'm done. My family's done. I nodded. You're safe here. Say what you came to say. He swallowed hard, then said the sentence that punched the air out of my lungs. Tyler didn't just push your daughter down the stairs. He was planning to do worse. The room felt smaller instantly. My jaw clenched. My hands curled. What do you mean worse? I asked quietly. He looked at me, fear all over his face. There's a group of boys he hangs with. Rich kids, untouchable kids. They brag, they talk, and the things they talk about. He shook his head. I overheard them a few nights ago. Tyler was planning something real bad. Something criminal. My heartbeat slowed. Not faster. Slower. Marine slow. The hell are you saying? He wiped sweat off his forehead. Sir, he said he was gonna get your daughter alone, in his truck, and teach her a lesson she wouldn't forget. His words. My stomach twisted. What lesson? I asked, even though I already knew. I could feel the answer like a knife under my ribs. The deputy's voice cracked. You know what he meant. I closed my eyes for a second. Every muscle in my body tense like wire about to snap. If you're a father, you know that feeling. That moment you realize the world isn't just cruel. It's aiming straight at your kid. The deputy kept talking. There's more, he whispered. He bragged that his dad would cover for him. Said he could do anything to your girl, and you wouldn't be able to lift a finger. He looked at me like he expected me to explode. I didn't. I just stood there, absolutely still, like a storm gathering inside skin. What did you hear exactly? I asked. He hesitated, scared, ashamed. Then he said it. Tyler said he was going to record it to humiliate her. My nails dug into my palms. Marine discipline saved that kid's life that night. Only thing that did. The deputy took a shaky breath. That boy is dangerous, sir. And the sheriff? He'll cover everything. Even this. I nodded, voice quiet. You did the right thing coming here. He shook his head. No, sir. I should have come sooner. I should have warned your daughter. I'm sorry. I'm so damn sorry. His guilt was real. His fear was real. But what mattered was what he said next. I can get you proof. I looked up. That word, proof, changed everything. What kind of proof? He leaned in. There are messages, audio recordings, Notes between the boys. But I can't pull them myself. If I do, the system alerts the sheriff. And if he sees that, I'm done. He finished. I rubbed my jaw, thinking fast. What do you need from me? He lowered his voice. I need your help getting it from someone who already hates Tyler. I frowned. And who's that? The deputy hesitated, then whispered, his ex-girlfriend. I blinked. Why her? Because, he said, Tyler did the same thing to her. Sheriff covered it up. My chest tightened. So she knows what he is. She knows everything. And she'll help? If you talk to her. Yeah, she will. I inhaled deeply. Another victim. Another cover-up. Another girl whose life Sheriff Grant had stomped on to protect his son. This wasn't a bully. This was a predator, protected by a predator with a badge. I walked behind the counter, grabbed the keys, and turned to the deputy. Where is she? He handed me a small slip of paper, an address. She lives out by the old fishing cabins. Cabin 5. Don't tell her I sent you. Why not? She's terrified of the sheriff, and she thinks no one will ever believe her. I nodded. I'll talk to her. He reached for the door, then stopped. One more thing, he said quietly. What? If you're going after Tyler, be careful. The sheriff has eyes everywhere. My voice was flat. Then he should keep them open. He swallowed, opened the door, and slipped into the dark like a ghost. I locked the door, turned off the lights, and sat down. My heart wasn't racing. It wasn't pounding. It was cold, frozen, focused, because now this wasn't just about bullying, or fear, or power. This was about stopping a kid who was one step away from becoming a monster no one could control, and a sheriff who'd rather bury girls than truths. I stood up, grabbed my coat, and whispered to myself, all right, Tyler, you wanted war. Now you're gonna see what a Marine war looks like. The moment I knocked on Cabin 5's door, a girl's voice whispered from inside. Did Tyler send you? Cabin 5 sat alone at the end of a gravel path, surrounded by trees that looked like they were holding their breath. A broken porch light flickered weakly above the door, and the whole place had the vibe of someone hiding from the world. I knocked gently. Nothing. I knocked again. Then finally, a voice, small, shaky. Did Tyler send you? My throat tightened. No, I said calmly. I'm not here for him. I'm here because of what he did to my daughter. Silence. Then the sound of a chain sliding off, a lock turning, the door opening just 2 inches. A single eye peered out, tired, red, scared. You're her dad, she whispered. Yeah, I said quietly. I am. She opened the door fully, and the first thing I noticed was how broken she looked. Hoodie 3 sizes too big, sleeves pulled over her hands, bruises faint but visible around her wrist, bruises that didn't come from falling. Bruises that didn't come from one day. Bruises that came from someone who thought no one could stop him. Come in, she said, voice barely above a whisper. The inside of the cabin was small, messy, papers everywhere. A half-packed bag by the bed like she'd been planning to run. She sat on the floor, knees pulled to her chest. I didn't push anything. Didn't sit too close. Didn't ask for details. Trauma has rules. Silence is one of them. After a minute, she finally spoke. I saw what he did to your daughter, she said softly. He's getting worse. I clenched my jaw. What did he do to you? Her voice cracked. The same thing he planned for her. I closed my eyes for a second. I'm sorry, I whispered. She wiped her face with her sleeve. You can't stop him, she said. No one can. His dad covers everything. Maybe, I said. But bullies don't stay kings forever. Eventually they mess with the wrong person. Are you that person? She asked. I didn't want to be, I said honestly. But Tyler didn't give me a choice. She nodded slowly, then reached under the bed, pulled out a small phone. Cracked screen, dead battery. This, she said, has everything. My heart kicked. What's on it? Messages, she said. Videos. Audio notes. She swallowed. Things he bragged about. Things he planned. Things he already did. I exhaled. This wasn't just leverage. This was evidence. Real, damning, undeniable evidence. Why didn't you give this to anyone? I asked. She laughed, a bitter, broken sound. To who? The sheriff? His friends? The school? Everyone's scared of them. She looked right at me. "You're the only person who ever confronted him. And you didn't do it for power. You did it for your kid." Her voice softened. "So maybe you'll do something with this." I took the phone gently. "I will," I said. "I swear." But then her expression changed. Fear, real fear. "What's wrong?" I asked. "You shouldn't be here," she whispered. "He's been looking for you." I frowned. "Tyler." She shook her head slowly. "No, his dad." A chill went down my spine. "Why would he be looking for me?" She stared at the floor. "Because someone told him you met with the deputy. And someone else told him you were coming here." I froze. "The deputy warned me. Sheriff has eyes everywhere." "How many know I'm here?" I asked. "Enough," she whispered. "The sheriff is coming. Tonight." My pulse steadied, not fast, not panicked, cold, focused, Marine mode. "We need to leave," I said. She shook her head. "No, if I leave with you, he'll know I helped you. He'll come after me." I stepped closer. "He's coming after you anyway." "No," she said quietly. "Not if he thinks I'm still scared." She looked at me, tired, broken, but brave in a way most adults never learn to be. "You go," she whispered. "Do something with that phone before he takes it from you." My hand tightened around the cracked phone. "You're stronger than you think," I said. She smiled sadly. "No, I just got tired of being scared." Before I left, she said one last thing. "Don't fight him like a Marine. Fight him like a father." Those words hit harder than a punch. I stepped outside into the cold air. Dark clouds above. Stillness everywhere. The kind of stillness that comes right before something breaks. I looked at the phone. This was it. This was everything Tyler and his father never wanted the world to see. But I barely got 3 steps before I heard it. The crunch of gravel. Headlights in the distance. One cruiser. Then a second. Coming fast. Sheriff Grant. He wasn't waiting anymore. I ran to my truck, started it, and hit the road. Gravel spraying behind me. Heart thumping steady. As I sped down the old back road, the phone buzzed. A new message. Unknown number. Probably Tyler. I opened it with one hand while driving. Just one sentence. "You should have stayed in your place." I almost smiled. "Kid," I muttered to myself, "you have no idea what my place is." The sheriff's cruisers didn't follow me home. They followed me to the gas station. And when I arrived, 2 deputies were already waiting with handcuffs. When I pulled into the station, the last thing I expected was to see 2 deputies standing under the flickering light, waiting. Hands on their belts. Cruisers angled toward the door, like they weren't here for a conversation. They were here for a takedown. My stomach dropped. Not from fear, from anger, because I knew exactly who sent them and why. As soon as I stepped out of my truck, one deputy walked toward me. "Sir," he said stiffly, "we need you to come with us." "For what?" I asked. He didn't answer with words. He lifted the cuffs. "By order of Sheriff Grant." Of course the coward wouldn't come himself. I didn't move, just stared at the cuffs hanging between us. "What's the charge?" I asked. The deputy swallowed. He didn't want to be here. His eyes said it. His hands said it. But his uniform forced him. "Sheriff says you assaulted his son." I laughed. Actually laughed. "I wasn't even near that kid today." Deputy stepped forward. "Sir, don't make this harder, please. You ever see guilt on a man's face so clearly it almost looks like bruises?" "Yeah, that was them." I raised my hands, palms open. "Search me." They hesitated. "Search me." They patted me down, pockets, jacket, boots. Nothing. No weapon. No bruised knuckles. No signs of a fight. Deputy 1 spoke again. We still need you to come in for questioning." I shook my head. "No. You need to tell Sheriff Grant that his lies aren't landing today, sir. We have orders. What you have," I cut in, "is a choice." They froze, because that line wasn't said like a threat. It was said like truth. Simple, solid, heavy. And truth scares guilty people more than any weapon. Before either deputy could respond, headlights swept across the station. A 3rd cruiser rolled in, and when the door opened, Sheriff Grant stepped out, hat low, boots steady, hands on his hips. He looked at me like he was already imagining the mugshot. Well, he said. "Didn't think you'd come back here so soon." "Funny," I replied. "I didn't think you'd stoop lower than threatening kids." "Guess I was wrong." His jaw twitched. He motioned at his deputies. "Cuff him." Deputy 1 shifted uncomfortably. "Sheriff, maybe we should," Grant snapped. "Are you questioning my orders?" The deputy lowered his eyes. "No, sir." Sheriff turned to me, smiling like a wolf. "You think being some washed-up Marine scares me? You think you can dig up dirt and run your mouth?" He said, "You're in my county, boy. My rules, boy." He called a retired Marine boy. I laughed softly. "You're scared," I said. His face hardened. "You got something of mine," he said, "and you're gonna hand it over." He meant the phone. Of course he did. He stepped closer. "This ends tonight. You understand?" I didn't answer. Instead, I turned to the 2 deputies. "You know what he's covering up," I said quietly. "You know what his son's done. You know this isn't right." Deputy 2's throat bobbed. But then the sheriff barked, "One more word and I'll bury you in paperwork till you can't breathe." Yeah, that's how he controlled them. Not loyalty, fear. He reached for my jacket, probably to search for the phone himself. That's when I stepped back. Not fast, not aggressive. Just enough distance to make every man tense. "Don't," I said. Sheriff smirked. "Or what? You gonna hit me?" I shook my head slowly. "No, I'm gonna make you wish you'd stayed honest." He laughed. "You, bring me down? I run this damn town." I tilted my head. For now, his smile faded just a little, just enough to show the first crack. Then everything happened at once. Sheriff lunged forward. Deputies shouted. One reached for his cuffs. The other went for my arm. And I didn't fight. I raised both hands. Not in surrender. In control. "Enough," I snapped. The whole station fell silent. Even the crickets outside paused. "You want my hands behind my back?" I asked. "Fine." I turned around. "Put my wrists together." "Go ahead," I said. "Cuff me." Sheriff stepped closer, triumphant. "Glad you finally learned your place." I smiled. "You should have checked my pockets before getting cocky." He froze. "What?" Then he realized. His eyes widened. He grabbed my jacket and searched frantically. Nothing. He checked the other pocket. Empty. He turned me around, furious. "Where's the phone?" I grinned. "Already gone." The deputy who came earlier. He wasn't the only one with a conscience. Someone else had shown up at the gas station an hour before the sheriff did. Someone Sheriff Grant didn't know about. Jack. I had handed him the phone the moment I got back. Sheriff Grant was too late. Way too late. "Check your son's reputation," I said softly. "It's falling apart as we speak." Grant's face turned red, not from anger. From fear, real fear. Because he finally understood. He wasn't in control anymore. "You're done," I told him quietly. "Not tomorrow. Not next week. Now." He stepped back, shaking his head. "You think anyone's gonna believe a nobody like you?" I shrugged. "They won't need to believe me. They'll believe the evidence." His jaw dropped. "What evidence?" I leaned in. "The kind your son recorded himself." His face went pale. For the first time since I met him, I saw his confidence crack completely. "Real question for you. What's scarier? A violent man, or a man who suddenly realizes he's lost all power?" Sheriff opened his mouth to speak, but his radio crackled. A voice came through. "Sheriff, we've got a situation at the station downtown. You need to get here now. It's about your boy." Grant froze. "What about him?" He barked. Static. Then the voice returned. "Sir, you're gonna want to see this." Sheriff stared at me, fear finally swallowing the arrogance. Then he jumped into his cruiser and sped off like the whole world was collapsing behind him. The deputy stayed behind, confused, silent, watching him disappear down the road. I lowered my hands. Deputy 1 swallowed hard. "Sir, what's happening?" I wiped my face. "The truth," I said. When I reached the sheriff's station, Tyler was sitting in an interrogation room. And he wasn't smiling this time. He was crying. And the reason he was crying would change everything. By the time I reached the sheriff's station, the air felt wrong. Too tense. Too quiet. Like the whole building was holding its breath. A deputy I didn't recognize stopped me at the door. "You can't be here," he said. I lifted my chin. "Then tell Grant to come stop me himself." He hesitated because even they knew something was off tonight. Then stepped aside without another word. Inside, Voices echoed through the hallway, sharp, urgent. I followed them until I reached the interrogation room. And there he was, Tyler, not smirking, not swaggering, not that cocky rich kid who thought the world was a toy. He was curled in the chair, hands shaking, tears streaking down his face, and Sheriff Grant was standing over him, red-faced, sweating, panicking. "Who did you send those videos to?" he barked. "Who else saw them?" Tyler cried harder. "I didn't send them to anyone." He sobbed. "Dad, I swear, you're lying." I stood in the doorway. Grant turned, saw me, and his whole face shifted from fury to pure hatred. "You," he snarled. "This is your doing." "No," I said calmly. "This is yours." Another deputy rushed into the room. "Sheriff, someone posted the videos online." Grant froze. "What?" "They're on 3 platforms already." "And sir, it's bad." The deputy swallowed. "Really bad." Sheriff grabbed the man by the vest. "Shut it down." "We can't," he whispered. "It's everywhere. Everyone's sharing it." Tyler sobbed harder. "I didn't mean for anyone to see it. I was just. Grant spun toward him. "You ruined us. You stupid boy. Do you know what you've done?" I stepped forward. "Don't yell at him." Grant turned, enraged. "You stay out of this." "Why?" I asked, voice steady. "You never did." He shook with rage. "You think I'm scared of you? You think some videos are enough to undo me?" I leaned on the table. "Those videos show exactly what your son is, and exactly what you've been protecting." Grant's mouth opened, but then a door down the hallway slammed. A voice called out. "Internal Affairs, open the way." The room went silent. Grant's eyes widened. "No," he whispered. No, this can't be happening tonight." Agents entered the hallway. Badges out. One of them pointed straight at Sheriff Grant. "Sheriff, you're coming with us." Double quotes. Grant backed up like a cornered animal. "You can't do this. I'm the law in this county." "Not anymore," the agent said. Tyler gasped. "Dad?" Grant didn't even look at him. He lunged for the back door, but deputies were already blocking it. "Sheriff Grant," the lead agent said, "you're under arrest for obstruction of justice, evidence tampering, witness intimidation, and aiding in the concealment of sexual assault." Grant screamed. "You can't arrest me. I made this county what it is." The agent stepped forward. "And now you'll answer for what you did to it." 2 deputies, his own men, grabbed him by the arms. Grant looked right at me. His voice cracked. "You did this." I nodded. Double quotes. "No," I said quietly. "Your son did this. You just helped him." They dragged him out, yelling, cursing, fighting like a man who finally found out he wasn't invincible. Tyler stared at the floor, shaking. For the first time, he looked like a kid, just a scared kid who finally ran into a wall he couldn't push through. I sat across from him. He didn't look up. "Why'd you do it?" I asked softly. "Why my daughter?" He wiped his face with his sleeve. "I don't know," he whispered. She didn't look scared of me. Everyone else does." There it was. The truth. Ugly, small, pathetic. Bullies go after fear because it makes them feel big. My daughter didn't give him that. She made him feel small. Tyler sniffed. "I didn't mean to. I didn't want to go that far." He broke down again. "I just didn't want it to feel like nobody." I exhaled. "You hurt people to make yourself feel real." He nodded weakly. I leaned back. "Now you're going to face the consequences of that." He nodded again. Sobbing. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I didn't say. I forgive you." Some things don't get forgiven instantly. Some wounds need time. But I did say this. I hope you learn from it. Because if you don't, your life stops here. Outside the station, vehicles filled the lot. Deputies whispered. Reporters started gathering. Jack stood beside my truck, hands in his pockets. "You good?" he asked. I sighed. "Not good, but better." He nodded. "Justice isn't always clean," he said. "But it showed up." I looked up at the night sky. "My daughter." Jack smiled. "She's gonna be proud of her old man." I shook my head. "No, I'm proud of her. She stood against him when adults wouldn't." I tightened my coat. "Let's go home. She's waiting." When I got home, she ran into my arms. I held her tight and whispered, "It's over. He's never gonna hurt you again." She pulled back, eyes wet. "You promise?" I brushed her hair from her face. "With my whole life." That night, after she went to bed. I sat alone at the kitchen table. No anger left. No rage, just peace. Not because the fight was easy, not because the system worked, but because I fought like a father, not a Marine, for once. That was enough. Some battles aren't won with fists or guns. They're won by standing up when no one else will.